chi sao. Okay, Warrior's new dual-sided PVC dummy is a new product we came up with. Basically, this is very similar to our dual-sided spring arm dummy. The only difference is this one comes with your traditional Wing Chun wooden dummy arms, available both in the 1.5" square level arms or the 2" offset only arms. It also has the same centerline spring arm, long arm up top, and the standard medium size arm on the bottom as the dual-sided spring arm dummy has. But again, this allows you to use your wooden training arms in the front and spin it around, and then you can use the padded spring arms on centerline on the back. Now, the other unique function about this is we have also, which we're going to show you next, our new spring arms, which can be inserted into a wooden dummy or can be inserted into this dummy. So basically you can use this as 3 spring arms in these traditional arm setups. Again, long spring arms on center line. So again, you have your Yang blocks, which you can work on the back side of this, and then your Yin blocks on the front side of this with the wooden arms. Now you can also remove these wooden arms and use the spring arms in the Yin side with the traditional setup. So it's a versatile dummy where you're able to use 3 different setups, all for different applications. Okay, now that the wooden arms are removed from the PVC dual-sided dummy, you now have the spring arms put in. These are inserted simply the same way, locking pin in the back. If you buy these from us with the dummy, they'll come pre-drilled. If you happen to purchase these on your own, you need to mark and drill these yourself, because simply these have to fit in tight. They're unlike the wooden dummy arms where you want the play in the actual mortise. This mortise you want tight. All of your play is going to be in the spring arm, which is what you have here. Okay, if you notice, there's some companies that sell wooden spring arms. We do not make the wooden arms on springs simply because it's a liability. We don't want to see anybody getting hurt. I personally don't recommend them to anybody who teaches a student or has a school, because again, of the liability reasons. If one of these things snaps back and hits you in the tooth, knocks a couple teeth out, or splits your eye open, you're talking a lawsuit. At least with the padded spring arm, it's cushioned. You're not really going to get hurt if you get hit in the face with it. But anyway, you can see the action that this has. Again, these are the traditional arm positions of the wooden dummy. You can do things like chi sao with this, simulate chi sao or look sao. And it has a nice feel to it. There's some positions where you're doing quan sao. All the things where you need to go through a limb. And then again, there's also things you have to be careful with, because these arms designed, you could see more of this in our previous video, but these arms designed originally for these angles were to stop you in the finished position of your blocks. What I had an issue with is that it's technically set up to stop you in the finished position of your Yin blocks. Your Yin blocks go to your shoulders. For instance, pak sao on the wooden dummy, you see people pocking here. Technically that's incorrect, because pak sao is not a Yin block. Pak sao is a Yang block, which goes into the dummy's core, which is the same as bong sao, bu sao, jam sao. If you notice, when we show you the other side of this dummy, since it's 2-sided, it has a centerline arm in the back. These angles are designed for Yin. So for instance, if you do a tan sao or a tan da on this, okay, you don't want to move the spring out past the original dummy arm position. But where it does come in handy for, like I said, is other blocks like jam sao. Jam sao you need to cut into the center line, so at least the arm will collapse and allow you to land on center where it belongs. Okay, that's just one of the few reasons for these padded spring arms. It allows you to, move the limb where otherwise the limb is fixed. Another example I give many a times in the beginning of the dummy form, when you do bong sao and then you seat ma tan da, you have to do a lot of overstepping to step past this limb, which does not move. The first problem is bong sao is a Yang block, so it doesn't belong on this angle. bone style belongs on centerline, straight in, which again I'm going to show you on the centerline arm on the rear side of this dummy. But either way, when you bone style here, now it allows you to actually collapse and redirect that limb as you would in real life and abbreviate the footwork, abbreviate the motion, because you're not really going to step way around an arm that's going to be fixed in reality. Now I do understand there's purposes for this, but again, it's nice to have a variation with the spring arm, which allows for a little bit more realistic and tighten up your footwork and your positioning a little bit better, in my opinion. Rotate it. You do share the leg, so we basically just remove the leg from one side. So once the dummy is reversed, you just basically switch the leg, and now you have the leg in the front configuration. Okay, so now we're going to just remove the spring arms on this side. Basically, this arm is now designed for your Yan blocks, which need to travel into the dummy's core, into centerline, opposed to the other side where you work your Yin blocks, everything that goes to the 45 or to your outer gate, your shoulder. Your Yan blocks, such as Paksao, go into the dummy's core. As I go in, it deflects the arm. Jamsao, same thing. I end up on centerline. Bong Sao, it's perfect for Bong Sao because not only are you able to go on centerline, but unlike the regular wooden dummy arms, you're able to go upward through the arm, not just right to left. So you have the ability to do the blocks as you would do in a real situation. Bu Sao, same thing, Bu's going right up centerline. Okay, now again, we make this all work on the traditional layout for the wooden dummy arms, and it's, again, you can't do everything on a piece of equipment. There's always going to be limitations. Even this has limitations. There's no piece of equipment that's going to do it all. But I just noticed certain areas where Yan and Yin blocks were not, say, being both done correctly on the traditional wooden dummy arms as far as the structure goes. Again, this will allow for more true structure. The other thing which is nice about this is it's an 18-inch arm, if you noticed. The purpose for that is this gives you the full length extension of a human arm, let's say. If I'm standing here, this is my wrist, halfway is my elbow, and then there's my body. Okay, so it allows for your bridging to be at a more proper distance. So just for example, if I was to say want to work some footwork, I'm able to make contact and bridge with this dummy at the proper distance that I would be from an opponent or an attacker. With the wooden dummy arms, they're half the size almost, or 8 inches shorter. So you're too close for, say, Tanda at a regular wooden dummy arm. Because Tansao belongs at the wrist, doesn't belong at the elbow. But in relation to the length of the dummy arm, which is 12 inches, you're pretty much at the elbow, which is not where you belong. Same as the Paksao. See, Paksao, when you do Paksao, you don't belong to the 45, you belong on centerline in the middle. So this solves some of those issues. Back to bridging, you can now bridge with, say, Tanda. Now, since I have the distance, I can travel in. Okay, I have the distance to bridge and travel in. When done on the smaller arms, when you're Tanda here, you're already jammed up. You're already a little bit too close to this dummy to really travel in with follow-up techniques. But at least with the longer arm, in my opinion, I feel that you have a little bit more, realistic distance that you can cover, and you can bridge at a more proper distance.